Call this regular meeting to order. Call roll.
Mayor Querum.
Here.
Councilmember Swanson.
Here.
Mabry.
Here.
Fabia.
Here.
Newman.
Aye. Please stand and join us in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight, get started with public comment. We've got a couple of presentations. I'm going to give it over to our city manager, Rachel Skaggs.
Thank you. So first tonight, we are going to start by recognizing someone that has been volunteering at City Hall for about 5 months now, Nicole Schmidt. So Nicole is from Princeton, Illinois, and she currently attends Illinois State University, where she's been majoring in political science, and she'll be graduating this month. She has been a volunteer intern for us for the last 5 months, and during this time she's helped us with numerous projects, including budget preparation, volunteer recognition, the Economic Development Summit, sales tax analysis, and union negotiations preparations. She also spent some of her time helping Kim Fry with the Chamber, working on Chamber and tourism projects. She also might look familiar to some of you, as her and her husband both work at Spoon. We've greatly appreciated her work and are going to miss having her around. So if you could please come up here, we have something for you.
Know what that is?
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, and next on our agenda, we are very pleased to be able to swear in our new Chief of Police tonight. Chief Kammerer comes to Princeton with 23 years of police experiences, most recently as a commander with the City of Naperville Police Department. He holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in Criminal Justice Administration from Western Illinois University and a Master of Science degree in Public Safety Administration from Lewis University. He's also attended the FBI National Academy. Chief Kammerer has performed a broad range of police assignments, including patrol, investigations, and high-level leadership. He has served as a field trainer, drug enforcement investigator, and a member of crisis intervention teams. Not only does Chief Kammerer have the career experience we are looking for, but his leadership style and communication skills will be a tremendous asset to the department. Chief Kammerer went through a long interview process, but consistently rose to the top with every interview panel. We're looking forward to having him on board and benefiting from his leadership. Chief Kammerer and his family, most of them are with him tonight, are active community participants. They are sports fans, retailers, and supporters of local events and charities. At this time, I would like Chief and his family to please come forward and be sworn in by City Clerk Pete Nelson.
Okay, everybody ready? Tom, raise your hand. I, Thomas Kammerer,
I, Thomas Kammerer,
having been appointed to the office of Chief of Police
having been appointed to the office of Chief of Police
in the City of Princeton,
in the City of Princeton,
County of Bureau,
County of Bureau,
State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Chief of Police
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Chief of Police
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
We look forward to a long career, second career here in Princeton, and very, very glad to have you on board. And get your first week behind you, so onward and upward.
I'm glad to be here.
Good. So now, as Pete mentioned earlier, all those that are here for the swearing in, and Nicole, all head out to the room next door for cake and.
No problem. There's chairs everywhere.
You bring half the town with him down there?
Yes, that's just family. Yes. They're from Oswego, Wisconsin, and West Carolina.
Glad bad people up there.
Yeah. They drink and bad breath. They have that first taste and they go.
Okay, so we'll move on with public comment. Anybody have public comment? Just make sure the mic is on, Scott, and just oh, yeah. There it is. Just
This is my last week of push for the food drive that takes place Saturday the 12th. I want everybody to know that the bags and cards I made distribution on today, you'll get tomorrow or Wednesday. They get filled to the best of your ability. Multiples are fine. Set them out on Saturday, rain or shine. We'll be out to pick them up. The only thing I do ask is, I'm still 2 pickup trucks short. If we know anybody who could volunteer a couple hours on Saturday, let me know or let Vanessa know at the food pantry. Any help we can get, because we need the help on that. Other than that, I'll be back in next meeting and let you know how we did it.
Thanks, Scott. Pete?
Yep.
Just state your name is all.
I'm Pete Gardner, I live over in Thompson Street, New Street. Reading in the paper where you guys want to raise the tax, or the electric rate 2.5%. I'm on a fixed income. You guys get 2.5%. You want 0.5% for the jail. You want 0.5% for the streets. When's the sewer and water going to go up? You know, you gotta think of the old folks. I'm 75 years old. I'm not going to be around much longer to pay taxes. I just hope I can pay them as long as I'm here. You know, so just something to think about.
Yeah, I understand. You know, our electric rate increase, you know, the IMEA is passing along a 4.5% increase to us, and we have to come up with a way to pay that, and that's what that 2.5, it's not even going to cover what we're being assessed by the IMEA. So, you know, we have to keep up with what we're being charged. We can't run the department at a loss, and it's just nobody likes rate increases. But,
You know, I don't get many increases anymore. Believe me. So there's something else I'd like to talk about. There's a building downtown, 400 something. Got a brick top that's falling apart. Got board and batten over the windows. There's 2 battens falling down there now. I've talked to several people about that. And I don't know, you know, is the city completely worthless on this? Can't they write a letter to somebody that owns the building?
Which building?
It used to be where the who was it? Harold Barr's old insurance company went to. I think it's right next to Hannaberry's, I'm not sure where he was.
That's where the travel place is now, right?
I believe it is, yeah. Yeah. But you know, if something falls off there and somebody gets hurt, who's going to be responsible for it? I know it's not going to be the city. I've had an experience with that. But I understand if people live out in California or something. And if something has to be done to the building, can't we write them a letter and say, hey, if it's not done in so many days?
Yeah, I mean, I'm unaware of the situation, and that's kind of part of the issue that we have. You know, bring it to our attention, and we'll take a look at it. If there's something that the city can intervene with, we will. So now that you brought it to our attention, we can.
On your way home, and I go over to the combat, look up to This area,
So it's on the west side.
yeah.
You've got Henneberry's, then you've got a small little building, then you have Rachel Renee. And then, is it beyond that, or is it?
I really can't tell you.
That's not by Cruise Street.
We can write a letter.
Okay, well, I'm afraid somebody's gonna get hurt on that, and they've got no way to go, because evidently we don't know who owns it or something. So, but I'd really like to see something done with it. I've been talking, maybe a couple of years, different people, so.
Well, I appreciate you bringing it to our attention anyway, and, we'll take, absolutely.
I'd like to see it done, but more I'd like to see my electric rates go down. You guys have a good one, thanks for listening.
Thanks, Steve.
I know.
Any other public comment?
Go get it, Bob.
Okay, we'll go to approval of minutes. We'll go to Councilmember Newman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from our regular council meeting on Monday, April 16th, 2018.
Second.
Motion's been second. Any corrections? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. Now go to approval of invoices with City Clerk Nelson.
This period in the Department of Accounts and Finances, we have bills totaling $190,401.50. In the Department of Streets and Public Improvements, we have bills totaling $356,055.34. In the Department of Public Safety, we have bills totaling $130,244.02. And lastly, in the Department of Public Property and Utilities, we have bills totaling $432,586.28. Mayor, all council members have confirmed their reviews of all invoices and are now submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve the invoices as presented.
Second.
Motion's been second. Any comments, corrections? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. Now we'll go to regular business with City Clerk Nelson.
Next on the agenda is ordinance number O-18-008. This is the second and final reading for this ordinance establishing electric rates. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this ordinance and it is submitted for disposition.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance O-18-008, which is an amendment to the city code under chapter 13 for utilities electric rate increase.
Second.
Motion's been second. Any comments?
I think the council knows how I feel about this. I will be voting no on this evening.
And appreciate, Greg, because you do explain, why you're voting. I appreciate that. And I would like to ask Councilmember Fabia, because last 2 weeks ago, you voted not to pass this on to the second reading, but you didn't give just an explanation. I'm just curious.
The rate study that the commission used, one was out of date, didn't include the last rate increase we had. I would like them to have all the information presented for them. And, we're looking at about 10% increase in a year and a half. And like you said, we have people on fixed incomes. I would like to try and do something instead of increasing bills.
Were we using faulty data, Rachel?
I think the rate studies
Were just the prior ones, just showing what the prior ones have stated. We haven't had any rate study done, no.
My understanding that the advisory committee was to look at our current revenue stream from the electric rates and compare that to short-term and long-term expenses for the department and determine whether or not we had enough revenue to cover those expenses. Am I kind of close on that?
Yeah, the biggest thing that they looked at was the increase from the IMEA that we've received.
So here we are with real numbers. We know that we don't have enough money to cover our expenses going forward. It's kind of a no-brainer, isn't it? How do we, if this fails, how do we cover our expenses? We don't really have a choice but to do the right thing, and that's make sure that the electric department is solvent and that the bills are paid.
And, we do have a new Citizens Utility Advisory Committee that is meeting now, and actually they're the group that recommended the rate increase. And I know that Councilmember Mabry a couple weeks ago mentioned the concern that he has with staffing, and that's actually one of the things they're going to be looking at and working with our department head and with Rachel. They'll be looking at staffing as well. So they're looking at everything electric, which is what they've been charged with, but they've only been appointed for now. How has it been?
Last year, approximately.
Okay, so, and this was the first thing that they really, after becoming educated about the department itself and the generating everything, then they get thrown in here with the rates and going through the educational process of learning about rates and everything. So they've had their plates been full. So.
I can talk to you a little bit if you want.
Yeah, just state your name, Bob, as well.
Bob Davidson. I've been trying to look at some of the history of the electric department, and there's been expenses. It's been kind of varying because it looked like the electric department used to pay a franchise tax, which they don't pay anymore. They pay payment in lieu of taxes now. There's some benefits that got shifted around, and so it's hard to tell exactly over time exactly how expenses and revenues are going. But the last few years, I can tell you. 2 years ago, let's see, 3 years ago, I guess it would be, we had a loss of about $900,000. Last year, we had a gain of about $1.5 million, and the problem is that's because of the fact that we had 11 months of expenses on the in the budget since we went to accrual accounting the prior year and took it out. Over the 2 years, then we had about $500,000 gain. This year, right now, they haven't done the final on the depreciation charge, but it was showing a gain right now. But if you take the full depreciation charge, we had like $1 million depreciation charge for the last several years. They only showed about $200,000 so far this year. If you take the full $1 million, they're going to show a loss this year of about $400,000, and that's adjusting also for the non-expense and income items. There's some capital items in there too. You have to adjust for as well. And so we are running right now at a deficit, and I'm still trying to find out. 2012 was the last really good year, and since then we've been going down. We do have a problem somewhat. Our good year was when we had actually high usage, and of course when the usage went down, our fixed costs were not covered as well, and so that's why, to the extent that our overall usage has been declining the last several years, it's going to make it harder anyway. But at any rate, we had a power cost adjustment. The last time the power cost adjustment was implemented was 2012. We were supposed to have a power cost adjustment on a regular basis to make up for these other expenses. If we had that, an analysis I did said we should have another 1.1 or 1.2% increase just because of the power cost adjustment. And then that doesn't even cover, of course, the other expenses that have been going up as well. So basically, the electric department is running at a loss right now, and it's just kind of the extreme years when you have a lot of revenue coming in that they seem to be able to make a gain, but it's not consistent. And it's going to be harder all the time to be the cost going up, keep going up like they have been. Because like Rachel was saying, it's 4+% they went up as well. Plus the other expenses is going up on salaries and things like that too.
Thank you, Bob.
If I can quick comment, Mayor. A couple things I'd like to just point out. The sins of our fathers, so to speak. I was on this council when we voted for a budget where we were taking transfers out of the electric department, and I have to own up to that. We were taking these transfers out to the tune of about $500,000 to $600,000 a year to help pay for what I call the farmland that was purchased. That was one of the things that money went towards. And I'm thankful that since Rachel's been here, we haven't done that. Now, we would take that money out with the idea that we were borrowing it from that department and putting it over to pay other bills. And unfortunately, Jeff's department did not get paid back that I'm aware of. So we were into his pockets, and unfortunately we're into the rate holders, because in theory, now we've got to cover for some sins that we did in taking that money and shifting it to other areas that had nothing to do with electrical generation or electric revenue or expenses. But at the same time, I look at it that when the electric department needs equipment, we've always been real supportive. They needed a directional boring machine that was in excess of $100,000. They needed a chipper to do their own chipping of the lines, which I think was an excellent addition. I think that The mayor, Querum, brought that up as an idea that we would no longer be subbing out the chipping to an independent contractor that's done in-house, and that's the thing that should have been done, and I commend you for doing that. But we bought good equipment. When the electric department needed equipment, we went out and bought new equipment or demo equipment that was like new. So I don't want to make it sound like I don't support the electric department. However, in the 2.5 or 3 weeks that it's been since I was here at this last council meeting, bringing up the idea that I was voting no on this for my own personal reasons that I feel is we're overstaffed in electric generation, and again, we're not going to get into that tonight, but I would just say that I've had a number of citizens come up to me every day since I voted no initially, thanking me, saying that money's tight. The resident tonight that just stopped up to the podium, if you're on Social Security, and of course you can tell I don't understand Social Security because I'm not on it yet, but they don't get any raise, or they get like, I don't know, 2% every year. I don't know what they do, but unfortunately, it's tough to keep up with what we're doing. I would be favoring a rate increase if I felt comfortable that the electric department was as lean as it could possibly be. And I think the electric department does a tremendous job. And I think that someday down the road we may be looking at the idea of investigating selling or communicate with Ameren about the idea of possibly selling our electric generation and our distribution system. I don't know if we need to be in the electric generation business or distribution business. I think we need to look at all avenues. We've done that with our transfer station. We got out of the transfer station ownership business. So, but the point would be, is the past 2.5 weeks, a lot of feedback from the public, and they supported my role. But I would assure you that a year from now, if the departments were leaner, I would be here voting for electric rate increase. That's just my personal input. So I appreciate all the council members' input, but that's where I still stand.
The concern that, and everything is well taken, but as the need is here now, we need a rate increase. And my fear is if you don't have the funds to address the expenses that we have, and with the rate increase we're getting from the IMEA, what's going to happen is how's that going to be paid? Jerry brought that up. It's going to eat into our reserves. So all of a sudden, we've been building our reserves up the last couple of years, and all of a sudden, reserves are going to be used to pay the shortfall. And now we're going to be putting ourselves back to where we were in the late 2000s, early 2010s. We saw multi-year rate increases, and Laura, you mentioned you're concerned about a 10%. We were raising electric rates over several years, 35%. And so, when you talk about next year, if this were to fail and we come back for another rate increase, it's not going to be 2.5%. It's going to be a lot more than 2.5%. And we're putting ourselves in a position that's not healthy if this should fail. But
these are real numbers. I mean, we have not enough money coming in to pay for the cost of this product that we're delivering to the public. We have no choice. We are obligated as people sitting at this table here to make the right decision. A hard one, I admit, and I feel bad for people that are on fixed incomes and find the $4, $6, $8, $10 increase going to be a problem. But we don't have options here. I don't think this is a debate. I think we just have to say we have to bite the bullet. And we are doing a better job, a much better job of managing the finances than we were 4 or 5 years ago when money was being moved from one department to another. That just is history. We're not going to do that.
And unfortunately, Jerry, that was just 3 years ago. And so again, we appreciate Rachel's being able to clean up the books. I still hold where I'm at with this. I tell you, I had somebody challenge me on the street, and the question was, as we look at this was a single retired school teacher, and she said, okay, I'm a single person at home, use minimal water, sewer, electric. She said, all my surcharges at the bottom are more than what I actually use. And she said you're going to be adding an additional $2 on that surcharge, basically, or on the electric bill, $2 plus 2.5%. But her question was, on those surcharges at the bottom, and I don't know if we have 7 lines of them at the bottom, she said, when do those come off? And I said, ma'am, to be honest with you, I have no clue when they come off. I don't see those coming off in my lifetime, because once we throw those on, and I'm not here tonight to challenge us on that, because I'd have to pull out a utility bill to look, but we have surcharges for water, sewer, I mean, it just goes on, and I think one of those I put on as a council member. But the point is, the lady's utility bill was not what she was using for electricity consumption. It was all those surcharges was higher than her consumption use. So that was another secondary concern. So
Let me ask this, if someone was really in financial straits, could they come to City Hall and say, could we work out an arrangement to help me pay my utility bills?
There's different options. We have equal pay options. There's other options in the community where they could seek help too, and the ladies that work in the office do a good job helping them in those situations today.
All right, thank you.
Well, seniors are entitled to 65 and over, $4 a month discount on their electric bill.
If I could, Mayor, we overcome. I appreciate the talk tonight. So a little bit later tonight, we're going to be authorizing two labor agreements, one for the police department and one for wastewater and water. These are 4-year labor agreements. And if you could, just in summary, they're going to be getting 2.5, 2.5, I mean, each helps out. So what we're doing is we're asking for a 2.5% rate increase on one end, but we're having employees are getting paid very well. We're going to be improving these agreements. And for example, a 4-year contract, you could, Rachel, just give us an idea. Is that 2.5, and
I'll talk about each of them when we get down to those, but they're both a little different, and there's different. I'll talk about those a little more in depth because there's things they are getting rate increases, but we were also able to sunset many items that we have been wanting, so there's cost savings there too. And I'll talk about those when we get there.
I appreciate that. So unfortunately, like I said, I think Jerry bring up valid points. I appreciate your comments.
And one thing I would suggest also, Ray, going forward, because, you do bring concerns up regarding staffing, and, if you could even, sit down with Jeff Mangrich, our electric department superintendent, Rachel, and maybe even work with the Citizens Utility Advisory Committee on determining, all, what's going on in our electric department,
I'd be happy to help you with that too, Ray.
Any other comments? Okay, motion has been second. Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
No.
Fabia.
No.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querom.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is ordinance O-18-009. This is the first reading of an ordinance annexing property to the city. This has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I'd like to make a motion that we advance ordinance O-18-009 to the second reading.
Second.
Motion's been second. I'm going to Pete.
Okay, well, I'll just mention that this is the Elliott property on North Main Street. It has been purchased. It is subject to redevelopment. And some of our historical records in the city indicate that property already had been annexed. But we can't actually find a recording at the courthouse that confirms that. So we're formalizing this by formally annexing the property to the city, and then it'll be developed by a new owner.
Any further comment? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querom.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution R-18-021, authorizing the sale of real estate at 16 Railroad Avenue. This has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution R-18-021, which is authorizing the sale of surplus property at 16 East Railroad Avenue.
Second.
Motion's been second. Any comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querom.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution R-18-022, authorizing a labor agreement with the Policemen's Benevolent and Protective Association, Unit Number 167. Mayor, this resolution has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I make a motion that we approve resolution R-18-022, authorizing a labor agreement with the Princeton Policemen's Benevolent and Protective Association, Unit Number 167.
Second.
Motion's been second. I'm going to turn this over to Rachel. She's going to speak to both. There's two back.
So we have the union agreements with 3 unions. We're up this year, and we've been working with them since January or February, and have had a good working relationship with both the business agent and the union stewards and the employees that were involved in these two agreements. So we were successfully able to negotiate a 4-year contract, which is helpful as it provides some stability in longer terms than obviously a 2 or 3 year contract. So there's wage increases of 2 or 3%, no more than 3% in any given year. And as I mentioned before, we were able to sunset a lot of items that we have been bothered by in the past that have kind of cost the city money going forward. So we were able to get a lot of those sunset in these agreements. And overall, we feel that the agreements are a good deal for both the party, the city, or both parties, the city and the union. Does anyone have any specific questions on that?
Comments? Motion's been second. Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution R-18-023, authorizing a labor agreement with the International Union of Electrical Workers, Local Number 51, on behalf of the workers of the water and wastewater departments. Mayor, this resolution has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve Resolution R-18-023, authorizing a labor agreement with the International Union of Electrical Workers Number 51 on behalf of water and wastewater departments.
Second.
Motion's been second. Any comments?
Rachel, if I could ask, so again, not to try to put you on the spot, what is the percentages then that we have on a 4-year contract? And you said 2 to 3 or not to exceed 3, but...
I believe this one specifically is 2, and it's in the next page of the contract, 2.5, 2.5, 3, 3.
2.5, 2.5, 3.
Mm-hmm.
And we did, and I will just mention Nicole,
The intern that we recognized earlier and I had put together, and a lot of the comparable information was shared with the council on other comparisons to other communities. We also looked at what other communities are getting in their increases too, and presented all that to the union for agreeing to anything.
I know you worked hard on this. That's not the way. I'm not here to beat you up. So we have, in the next 4 years, we've got 11% wage increase for our salaries in these different departments. 2.5, 2.5, 3 and 3, right?
But there's also, like I said, a lot of things that offset that we were able to sunset and take out.
Absolutely. But that's a good wage increase. And I appreciate our employees. I'm just saying that the best job to have right now is working for the city of Princeton with the benefits. That's just my personal opinion.
Edith or Donna? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. Thank you. Pete, now we'll go to the city manager report.
Okay, so first I have the monthly report. This is through March of 2018, so our fiscal year ends at the end of April. This is through the end of March. And so at this time, when through the end of March, we were at about 99% of total revenues and 91% of total expenses. That's on the first page of that report. And then, as you can see, based on the graphs, year-to-date expenses have been pretty much in line. There's no expenses that are over currently, and then we'll get our final fiscal year report next month. And the sales tax report is in there. The most current month was April, and it was up a little compared to last year, and you can see the 4-year average on that. And then we also had we also had the police and fire activity report, so I'll just note a few things on there. There was a total of 776 calls for the fire department, and all their assists. There was 228 arrests and warnings, was 147, and there was 14 accidents. And total miles patrolled was just over 11,000. That's all I have on the financial report. Are there any questions on that? Next, there's a report here from Kim Fry, the tourism report. I won't go over all that. I'll just touch on a few of the highlights that she put in here on the Princeton tourism and branding process, and she shared a lot of what they looked for when they went through that process. and the logo and slogan and how those were crafted and created, along with the brand promise and the brand essence statement, and then the advertising that they're working on, and the interstate tourism signage that they're also working on. Okay. Any questions on that? 'Cause I just have a few more things.
For the tourism report, I would like, I don't see included enough are the golf courses, the apple orchard, all our parks, all our pools. I would like this stuff incorporated in there. You go on weekend trips to golf, to the orchard. So I would like to see more of that appearing, the bowling alley, the pool. And also I have asked on a few occasions for a spreadsheet for her expenses for the last year, and I've yet to see one of those, so if I could have it by weekend.
Yeah, we approve I'm on the chamber board as well, which also approves all expenses for tourism, for the agreement that the city has with the chamber for the tourism function. So we actually have a board meeting tomorrow, so we'll have that information tomorrow.
Okay, yes, so past year expenditures, please.
And a lot of this information you can also get directly from Kim.
I have emailed her and asked her for it and did not receive it.
So a few other things, I just wanted to note the city of Princeton was given the award appreciation by the United Way at their annual dinner. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. And then we also found out today that we unfortunately did not receive ITEP funding from IDOT this year. However, we'll apply again with the next round of funding. But we did find out last week we had applied for a grant for the police department for cameras, and we were awarded that SWAT cameras. We were awarded that grant, which is about $15,000, and there's no match required. So that is good news. And I always like to, once in a while, we get happy notes from residents in the mail, and those are always positive about our employees, who we do appreciate. So we got this one the other day, talking about two young employees in our street department, and she just commented that young people today should be recognized in doing such kind acts of kindness for senior citizens. We hear so much of the negative, but today I saw an example of two wonderful boys who went far beyond what they had to do and helped an 86 and 78-year-old Princeton resident. We're so happy to have moved here. Thank you for hiring only the best in these two young men. We hope you will relay this message to them, which I have, and they were from the street department. So we appreciate that note. And then the Bike and Pedestrian Commission attended the Earth Day event, and Voices from the Prairie sent us a nice note and thanked them for being a part of that event that they held at the library on April 21st. That's all I have.
Thank you, Rachel. The ITEP grant, it was a disappointment not being awarded this year, but most communities have to apply for this 2, maybe 3, sometimes 4 times before they're awarded. So we'll come back next year with a stronger proposal and move forward.
We're kind of looking at depot, doing work around the depot.
Right.
That's a lot of that.
Yeah, the parking lot, around the park as well. Yeah.
Were we not talking
Yeah,
about?
sorry, just missed that.
I skipped over it. One more thing on my list. I don't know how I missed that. So the last thing, after our last council meeting, we talked about a cost and a timeline for a potential non-home rule sales tax referendum. So I put that information together. I'll just highlight some of those dates for you. So basically, the last day to adopt a resolution initiating submission of the referendum to the public would be, we'd have to adopt an ordinance or resolution before Friday, August 17th. And that would be in order to get it placed on the November 6th general election. We would also have to certify it with the county clerk before the end of August. And then after it goes on the referendum, there are some more timelines, but obviously that would depend on if we did it and then if it was passed. And then the other two things that we had talked about were limiting the funds to public infrastructure only, and I've gotten some feedback on that, and we could amend the language that is mentioned in here to just say expenditures on public infrastructure. The way the statute has it, it says expenditures on municipal operations, expenditures on public infrastructure, or property tax relief. So it could be worded to say, shall the corporate authorities of the municipality be authorized to levy a tax at the rate of X% for expenditures on public infrastructure, and leave out those other two items. In regards to the time frame, after some discussions with John and legal counsel at Miller, Hall and Triggs, they've kind of agreed that that would be a little tricky to initiate, not something we can't do, but they would recommend that it doesn't sunset. And then on the back, I just have some information on costs, which would likely just be legal fees, reviewing those ordinances and resolutions, and then any prep materials we may do, and then some other ideas of how this information would be shared with the public. So if anyone has any questions on this information provided, please let me know.
On the 2004 tax increase, 0.5%, half quarter went to property tax relief, and the other quarter went to infrastructure, correct?
It all goes to the same place. I wasn't here in 2004, but the way it's received, it's just 0.5%. So that it comes in as 0.5%. And
do we have any idea what it has been spent on?
Well, it goes into our general fund, so it can be clearly shown, at least from the history of revenue and expenditures, that without that, property tax or something else would have had to increase significantly. But it, goes into the general fund, which is most of our public infrastructure property tax fund. So that's likely what it has been spent on.
And do you think more than 0.25% has gone to property tax relief?
I would have to look. Yeah, I don't know if I can answer that.
Wouldn't it be any dollar that goes into the general fund from this tax would reduce the need for us to go to the public and say we need to increase property taxes?
Is there any way that we could go and put a quarter of this tax that was supposed to be for infrastructure into an infrastructure account?
Are you talking about the current?
2000.
Well, it goes into our general fund, which we've all seen multiple times through the budget process. I mean, it pays for the street department, police, fire. I think that, and we're always typically running at a loss in the general fund as it is.
So we're using the municipal operations aspect of it.
There's a lot of other revenue that also goes into the general fund, too.
But of that sales tax raise in 2004, basically we're using it for municipal operations.
I think you have to look at, and I don't have all the information in front of me right now, but all of the revenue sources that go into the general fund, and then all the expenses that go out to determine that.
So with this new, if we go forward with this, we can strictly say infrastructure.
It has to say expenditures on public infrastructure.
And that is all it would be.
Mm-hmm.
And would it be a separate account, or would it be thrown in the general fund?
That could be determined by the council, I would assume.
Well, if we knew that we were going to receive $2 million a year, we would just apply a $2 million infrastructure budget for that year, and that would pretty much do it, versus having a separate account for it. We would spend what we receive that comes from that tax.
We have spent what we received that should be going to other things, and
well, I can't help you with ancient history.
right, but this is why I want it in a specific account to where we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. We're going to the voters to say this is infrastructure. I want the voters to know 100% is going to be spent on infrastructure, not operational cost.
Would they be satisfied to know that if we receive $2 million, we're going to spend $2 million? I mean, it doesn't have to go in this bucket and then be taken out of this bucket and put in that bucket.
Is it going to be spent on $2 million on roads, or $1 million on road and $1 million on salaries?
No, it won't.
And if it goes in the general fund and we are short, we're tapping into that general fund.
Well, we're going to review all these budgets, and we're going to see if this should come to pass. We're going to see this revenue coming in, and we're going to be working on approving the budget, and it's going to include a major infrastructure program. I'm sure we can be sure, all of us here, that the money that comes in goes out to the same amount into infrastructure.
I think that if it only says expenditures on public infrastructure, you would not be allowed to spend it on municipal operations, where in the past, the language has listed all three of those items.
And how tight of a bookkeeping would we be keeping on the sales tax coming in?
I think similar to what Jared said, is you would have another line item in the budget for that revenue, the additional half cent, and you would have to show that same amount going out on public infrastructure.
I agree with some of Laura's concerns, and specifically because in 14 years there's going to be different people sitting up here and what happened, and we're asking questions about 14 years ago now, and we're not getting answers. And now that Rachel hasn't looked into it yet, but I understand the concern, I agree.
Yeah, I don't think there's really a way to find those answers, though, because you just have to look at the budget and the revenue that's coming in and the expenses that went out in that fund.
And then just to ask again, the attorneys are recommending no sunset clause. Is that correct, Rachel?
That's what the recommendation was. However, they're not saying it's not possible, but it would make some things a little more complicated.
I just look at the 5 or 10 years. You're talking $5 to $10 million. We have, what, 58 miles of road? 63 miles of road. Euclid is not even a mile. That's $3 million. $5 million isn't going to do much. $10 million. Do we want to sunset this, or do we want to take it the distance for, the rest of our life?
We're not funding the Euclid Street project with this infrastructure program.
No, I'm just saying the cost. If you put the cost to a real picture, the project of Euclid is $3 million. In 5 years, we're getting $5 million. Euclid isn't even a mile, so what is $5 million? A mile and a half of a street, 2 miles of a street? Do we want to sunset this, or if we get this set up right to where it goes to public infrastructure only, do we want to sunset it or keep it going forever?
Maybe we should agree that in year 4, we have a comprehensive evaluation and say, okay, here's where we are, here's where we're going, here's what needs to be done, and yes, we can let it go by and stop it, or we have to go further.
We'd have to go to the voters again.
Yes, well, we'd have public forums, public meetings, say here's where we are, and here's what we think we should do, and we'd like you guys to buy in on it.
On that Euclid Street project, you mentioned it's $3 million. That is a complete rebuild. That whole thing is being torn up. I think it's being widened, and I think there's also some sewer work that's going to be done on that. So those costs are storm sewers work that's going to be done on that. Not that wouldn't be done anywhere else, but that is a complete rebuild.
But how many storm sewers, sanitary sewers, are we going to be getting into that are bad? A lot. So we may think it's $200 to do the overlay, $200,000. We look into it, and it's $1 million because of sewer replacement, curb replacement, storm sewer. Back to Euclid. I mean, it's just, I look at it as $5 million, doesn't go as far as it used to. And do we want to consider not putting a sunset on that?
Well, we can't put a sunset on it, according to the recommendation of attorney.
Well, it said we could, it would just be difficult.
Yeah, and I mean, that was how this was first presented, was with if you do a quarter, it'd be a 10-year sunset. I was hoping that would be part of the language of the referendum, but whether or not you take it, you remove it or not, I mean, that's for further discussion, but I don't know, we have 63 miles of city street, I don't know how many of them would fit into this infrastructure program, because not every street in town needs work. And again, this won't touch our. I don't think this won't touch our brick streets. So this is strictly pavement.
Right.
So
this is like Ray comes out to give us a bid on remodeling our kitchen. He says it's going to cost $30,000, and then you find out it's going to cost $45,000 because of surprises and unforeseen things that happen. But maybe not. Maybe it'll come in at $30,000. You just don't know yet. You got to wait.
And I also think that if a program goes into place and it goes forward and we're making progress and it's, 5, 6 years down the road and people see what's being done around town and the improvements that have been made, and if there needs to be some additional work done, we have to have for instance, a second referendum, then I don't see how that, I don't see how that doesn't pass with all the positive things that are going on with the initial infrastructure program.
This is a big deal.
Just say no the lawyer said no sunset, wait. Mayor, wait, I thought you said no sunset clause would be in it.
The attorney said that he would recommend not sunsetting it, not putting a sunset clause on referendum language.
Want to put the sunset in.
That's how I presented this at the very beginning, a 10-year sunset. And I kind of say that, I guard that, because Ray mentioned earlier, fees. You mentioned fees that go in our utility bills. It's the same thing with the sales tax, the one back in 2004. Things go on, they tend not to come off. And I don't want people to think that that is our intent. I want them to understand that this is a program that's going to end, and the tax comes off. And if they want to extend it, there'd be a second referendum down the road, whenever that might be.
The neat thing is, by proving to the public that we've used that money wisely, we could easily, I think, get a second referendum in the works if we could prove it to them.
Absolutely. Right.
Laura, you bring up some good points. Again, we were looking at the fact that, let's say, since Rachel's been on board, she's cleaned up a lot of our financial issues. And again, I made the comment that I voted on numerous budgets to steal money from Jeff Mangrich's department, and we never paid it back. So, unfortunately, council members, we do things, and then, in theory, we should be paying Jeff back, and we wouldn't have had that rate increase. That's the theory. But so I appreciate what you're saying. We need to make sure there's some safeguards that future council members don't tip into the till again. Hopefully, that's not going to happen. And I know, in all earnest, we're here tonight with an earnest attempt to make this happen. So, I'm in favor of this sales tax increase. Has put it in the proper perspective. So anyway, that's where I'm at tonight.
And I think we have the right people in place to manage it as well, right now. And hopefully, in the near term, we'll have the right people that continue to manage it well.
And I will say, as far as Jeff's department is concerned, we did pass an ordinance in 2012, I think it went with the rate increase that was going into place back then. But, our reserves, are protected against somebody coming in from outside and taking funds out like what was being done in the past. So by ordinance, that cannot be done any longer. And so those funds are protected. Now, that doesn't mean that, they can't be used in electric departments, what they're for. And if we have something that would come up that would need reserves versus having to go out and taking on more debt or whatever, that's what reserves are utilized for.
And which wording would we go with?
Yeah, so if, we just want to do public expenditures, it would be the last wording on the third page. Or sorry, public infrastructure.
And where does everyone stand on the wording?
We're a little early. I think that Rachel give Rachel an opportunity to rewrite this and present back to us with what she thinks the appropriate wording is based on your request. I think we're more than willing to word this thing the way that makes most sense to all of us.
Well, August is right around the corner, and I think we could give her a direction. I think if we're not in favor, if we want to leave the municipal operation cost in there, I think we can now.
I think this is an infrastructure project.
Exactly. Right. That's what it is. It's a public
It's not for salaries.
It's a street.
It's for streets and sewers and gutters and all that.
So with the last expenditures on public infrastructure, well, it doesn't say only, but this is what we are going with.
Well, I'd like to see her wording, and then we'll have to vote on it.
Yeah, so the next step then would be the ordinance prior to August 17th.
So again, Rachel, if we don't have a sunset clause, that's going to be a lot easier for us as far as the law firm's concerned, and it's going to save us some money dealing with them trying to figure out how to make that work. Because I've seen their law bills. Okay.
Good point.
I'm for that.
And we have approximately $6,500 in the budget.
It would come out of legal and hopefully our legal expenses and some of that's not all legal. The other items, yeah.
25 to $5,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That would come out of the general legal account.
You okay on moving forward?
I sure am.
Any further comment? Okay. Is that it, Rachel? Okay, and I just got a couple of board reappointments. I'll entertain a motion to the Princeton Plan Commission of Ian Cardosi and Michael Lent.
I make a motion that we appoint Ian Cardosi to the Princeton Plan Commission Board of Zoning and Appeals for a 3-year term expiring on April 30th of 2021.
Second.
Motion's been second. Comment? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Wareham.
Aye.
I make a motion that we appoint Michael Wentz to the Princeton Plan Commission Board of Zoning Appeals for a 3-year term expiring April 30th, 2021.
Second.
Motion's been second. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman. Mayor
Aye.
Wareham.
Aye.
I make a motion that we reappoint Terry Charbonneau to the Board of Trustees of the Police Pension Fund for a 2-year term expiring April 30th, 2020.
Second.
Motion been second. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Wareham.
Aye. Any old business? Any new business?
Yes. I ran into a resident, a local business owner. They went, they're within the city limits, they went to recycle, and they were charged $15 for recycling boxes. Was this stated that local businesses are to be charged?
It's residents only, just like we do curbside residential recycling and garbage, the recycling center was residents only as well.
Because this business owner said it would cost them probably, with a very busy week, anywhere from $400 to $500 to recycle.
I think I know the business owner you're talking about, and I've talked to Republic about this before, and they're very accommodating. I'd be happy to put him in touch with this person, but it's a lot cheaper for them just to do it with their garbage pickup too, and it would not cost nearly that much.
With their business garbage
Right.
pickup.
Mm-hmm. And recycling onto that.
Okay,
correct.
so you are going to speak to the person? 'Cause
If
I'm
it's the
sure-
same
I'm
person,
sure it is.
yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Any other new business? Public comment? Just your name, Hector.
Okay, Hector, first off, I want to say, most government employees that work and retire from it will never know what it is to actually live on a fixed income. Because most benefits for government employees, from the federal government on down to local counties, are very good. And working at the health department, yes, I'm a government employee, but I've seen a lot of people that are on fixed incomes and senior citizens. And it's real bad when they have to choose between paying the overhead cost, paying the high cost of medications, and even food to stretch their food dollars to be able to go ahead and live. I realize that there's also big expenses that have occurred. But at what point does this thing come in? That is one comment. The other part, with the renewable energy of solar panels and everything else, if there's so many people that actually do this and they try to get and go solar, then they're no longer paying utility bills for the most part. And anybody has ever planned for anything like that, as far as what's going to happen. The other thing that I was going to say, now that it kind of left my mind, the taxes that are going to be imposed, the 0.5%. I know that there was a lot of discussion on here, and I've known from a very familiar government within the state of Illinois that there was taxes that were being supposed to be used for tollways and everything else that were supposed to be used strictly for road repairs and construction and things like that, which never really happened. Something that Laura was talking about, there's very specific accounts that money can be put in, that you can go in and generate reports where that money actually does come in and actually gets expended if it's done properly. There can be earmarked those terms or very strictly spent where it cannot be taken out from somebody else to cover anything else. I think it's the responsibility of everybody within the local government here with the city of Princeton to go ahead and make sure that does happen. Sometimes to say, well, I wasn't here, that was happening, it's always not the right answer. Is being in that position that you're supposed to know what happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago. We really have to do some research. You really have to say, I don't have the answer because I was not here, but I will go ahead and get that answer for you, especially since every single one here, even though you're not Princeton employees, you are still paid by Princeton taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Hector. Public comment further? Sneak your name there, Geraldine.
I don't know whether we won that lottery ticket yet. My name's Geraldine Woodley. Just a quick question for something that was brought up. Why did the utilities usage go down? Did anybody investigate that? Was everybody changing their light bulbs to the new ones?
I don't know, because that's...
I mean, to me,
I think it depends on the temperature and usage and...
Well...
Yeah, but do you have that many people using electric heat?
Well, air conditioning.
Ah, see, somebody had an answer. Or we hope that's the answer. Thank you.
Bob, Jim? Just name.
Bob Warren. I'd be remiss if I did not remind the council of the previous sales tax increase we had back in 2004. A little history that was passed back in 2004 is Ordinance O-13-04-3-12. That ordinance specifically states it's going to be used for property tax relief and expenditure on public infrastructure. Ran a little history report since 2010. The city has taken in $555,000 on average every year. By ordinance, half that was supposed to go for property tax relief, the other half is for infrastructure expenditures. As Rachel explained, that all goes into the general fund. There is no accounting of that infrastructure expenditure, although money's coming in and money's going out. So what it really boils down to, and unfortunately you guys are going to be wearing this hat, is trust. Can the community trust you folks to spend this money for what you're about to ready to pass this 0.5% sales tax on? Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. And again, this is a referendum, so this is an educational process as we go forward, and it is a voters choose. It's not, we're not implementing anything except other than the possibility of having a referendum, but it'll be the voters' choice. So it's an education. There's no question about it, and that's what we'll be addressing going forward. Any other public comment? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting and to reconvene our next.
I make a motion that we adjourn our regular meeting tonight and reconvene our next regular meeting at City Hall on Monday, May 21st, 2018 at 7 o'clock.
Second.
Motion and second, call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Bavia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned, and thank you